Recently moved to San Francisco. Before I start, I want to ask how many people in here have cars? Okay, quite a few people. So I just started thinking about this idea, so I haven't really fleshed it out. I'm looking for a couple of people to work with, especially like a web app developer. So basically, the concept is a zip car for parking. So I used to live in New York, and I think there are probably things like similar to this that exist out there. That when you're driving around, you're looking for parking and everything's filled up, especially in the cities. So we would develop an app for like an iPhone or smartphone, and also a website like Zipcar, where you would be able to put in your profile, put where you live, put where you work. And so let's say you commute down to the South Bay. So the first part of this was targeted for residential, like homeowners who have parking spaces. You commute down to the South Bay, and your parking space is available from like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And you own that spot, so you can essentially rent that spot out to visitors who are coming into the city, and maybe want it for an hour or two a day. So that's one part of it. And then so that would be sort of a huge barrier to get through in order to get all those users to sign up. And then the other one would be like in cities like New York, where you have big high-rises and you have a manager that's managing the residential parking lot, then you would have those parking spaces also available. And then the last portion of it would be hopefully to get the public parking spots on board as well. So you can know, like, especially if there's like a sporting event or something, oh, hey, there's a spot in this parking lot, and I can actually save that spot until I get there. So that's the idea. Hopefully you guys have some feedback for me.
I have some feedback, and I'm just going to pull my hand down because I just raised it, which I should not do. But so actually, the very last time, 2 weeks ago, there was somebody who was talking about exactly this issue, and they were very passionate about it too. So I would encourage you to go back and look through the video. I don't remember which order it was out of that, but I literally heard, like, you two should all give the pitch together. It was like just that same way. That's point one. The second point is there was actually a company I saw, I want to say it was back in maybe 07, 08. It was called Spot Scout or Scout Spot, one of those two. I want to say they started in Boston, but it was a very similar concept about like being able to essentially monetize the spot that you own for the first part of your idea. I don't know if it's still around, how it worked out for them or any of that other stuff. I remember seeing they had an interview on like CNBC or something like that. But I would definitely take a look at that and see if they are, and see sort of where they may have gone wrong or if it succeeded or what. Again, I haven't heard about it since then, so I don't know kind of what status it is, but I would definitely take a look at that too.
Yeah, there was also two guys at the Twilio hackathon like 2 weeks ago that started building exactly the same thing as well. So maybe you can try.
It must be every hackathon. Like, we met at a startup weekend like 2 years ago, and I've gone to a couple of them since. And at every single one, there's a parking related one, which means like everyone has this need and no one solved
it yet.
Cracked that nut. So
it's all about execution.
Yeah,
sure.
and the parts that the ones that I've usually heard have focused on the second and third parts that you mentioned, the manager spaces or the private spaces. And my guess about why they've never really taken off is that all of those other ones already have existing business models that you're competing with. Whereas that first one, it's like you're trying to be the Airbnb of parking spots.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? And if you were to just take the Airbnb model and they're really public about their lessons. I can introduce you to founders if you want. Like, if you were to take the exact same thing they do and do it just for parking spots and focus in on just that one of the three, then you can always tackle the other stuff later. Like the way they're doing, where they started purely on just like literally airbeds, and now they're going for like entire vacation rentals, and they literally have like castles in Scotland and islands in Fiji you can rent. Like, they're going from, you know, the easiest up to stuff that no one's doing. Yeah, cool idea. Everyone wants it. Everyone wants the idea. That's why they try to build it.
I would start with people who have parking, like who live in areas where the parking is really, really valuable. So we already see like people who live next to concert venues, like renting out, they're standing on their driveway renting out their space for $10 or something, and you just like provide them a business front end. So situations where like someone's paying $10, $20 for this parking spot, because then you're dealing with high dollars, people who are really motivated and have a lot of incentive, and customers who are really motivated. and then you can spread from there.
Yeah, people pay $20 or $30 for parking at a big football game or other venue.
How about try to tell me whether I park wrong or I don't get a ticket, parking ticket?
Yeah, so yeah, hopefully the app will say you can't park here during these hours because there's street cleaning or something.
Actually, that raises an interesting point, and this is a minor point, but like, let's say that you say that it's available from 3 till 6 p.m. and somebody stays till 6:30.
Yeah.
Do they get a ticket? And if so, do you, as the owner of the spot, get the ticket, or is it dependent on the municipality?
Liability would be an issue.
But it seems like that's an
Yeah.
opportunity to charge more. $15 fee. I get charged.
I'm out there handing out my own tickets. Yeah, you got a ticket, buddy.
I get charged for city car share all the time because, like, I always say, oh, it's going to take me 2 hours to get to Oakland back, which is retarded. It always takes 5, right? So I come back and I get charged a late fee, and that's fine. That's even more money for them.
You could pay for a call option on an extended.
Well,
Yeah,
and you got to provide your
people-
contact information. So if it's the owner renting out their spot, they get home. I can call that person's mobile, and they're getting.
Yeah,
Well, that's maybe where the
all
Airbnb model is even more relevant because they already have your credit card information, so it's already dialed in.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Kevin, do you have the Spot Scout site up? I think I looked over your shoulder and saw it.
it's right here.
Does it still exist?
It does, but they have nothing in San Francisco.
No.
What
I
is-
also
what
have
is it exactly?
a parking website myself,
You can-
so I've already thought about this.
I remember we talked about this. All right,
I gave you one of my maps.
you did. This was like the lowest tech idea I remember seeing, but it totally worked. I remember this.
It just tracks street parking in San Fran, but specifically the marina.
I saw this idea, I kid you not, at a coffee shop, and he showed me this map. I'm like, I think you're onto something.
So, be happy to talk to you about it. So,
Okay, great.
streetparking.sf.com.
You got more time. I don't know where you're going. There's,
I have a question.
you have a whole 3 minutes left.
Parking in the city.
How do you so is there any tracking component of where spots are available and where there aren't?
Yeah, so I was thinking a little bit more about this, and if it were to do public parking spots, then you would have to have some like type of hardware in the meter.
I know that there was an article in the Times about that starting in San Francisco like 2 or 3 years ago, and I don't know.
That's the front.
Yeah, you can probably find it on the New York Times or something.
It's out.
But there is, I think that one of the barriers to entry might be some kind of software component that's also real time, because then the market could come together. But obviously, you can, you know, there is value to be had from like first steps where you take the lower hanging fruit.
Well, you know what's different about the companies that may have started and tried to solve this problem a couple of years ago is that the smartphone penetration wasn't where it is today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
the fact that I mean, I don't know what the percentage is it like, what, 25, 30% now? It's got to be getting up there with all the Android
Well, it
sales
depends
and
on
iPhone.
urban like areas or even more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
50% by 2014.
50% by
So
2014.
just wait till then.
Yeah, right.
I'll
Just sit on the
develop it
idea for a
until
couple
that
years.
time.
But yeah, it's like, I mean, it seems like having the ability to actually do this from your phone, at least from my vantage, seems to be what was missing before. I mean, it was kind of a cool idea in theory, but once you were like away from your computer, no way to really execute it. So it seems like if you could actually step in and be able to execute it now that there is that penetration of smartphones, it might be kind of like the timing is finally caught up to the idea itself.
Or
Yeah.
integrate with GPS.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Call that
Yeah.
too. And 3G so that
If you
can,
do build it, I would suggest like try to get it as like one click as possible to find a spot, because like you don't want people to drive around like typing in their location or
Right.
hitting a bunch of buttons. Like one click, yes, you got my location, and there's these are the spots available like as fast. That's probably the biggest problem. Well, not the biggest problem, but
Yeah,
one
to
issue I
foresee
see is,
while
like,
you're
you're
driving
your
and-
smartphone.
Yeah.
Here's one thing you might look at too is if you could tie the payment system into like either in the East Coast and much of it we have the whole like Easy Pass system, or if you tied it in out here like Fast Track, an account that people already have set up, and whereby you could actually use the not Bluetooth but whatever the technology is on that. I'm blanking on the name of it, but RFID. So you can actually use that payment technology and maybe the sensors too to actually allow the payment to happen. If not that, I mean, there's other ways to have it pay, but I'm almost thinking like lowering the friction point for somebody actually making that payment and allowing it to
Yeah.
happen. If you're leveraging something they probably already have, it would make it a lot easier to implement.
yeah, I like the idea of lowering the friction. The easiest way to lower the friction would be to make an iPhone only and just do in-app purchases. I mean, that you just enter your password and you're done. Like you don't have to enter a credit card info or anything else. It's pretty friction free.
Or SMS.
What's that?
SMS.
Yeah, sure.
Pay for SMS.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, guys.
We're not. You're still up there. Yeah, we're gonna keep firing questions at you. No, if you want to sit down, you can. But I would say actually you were the first person that has ended ahead of time. That has to be a record. I would love to tell you we have a prize, but we don't. Thank you.